It's time for a virtual campfire sit-down with Terry Wyce. Welcome to Wyce Thoughts.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to Wyce Thoughts. I am Terry Wyce, and I am delighted that you decided to drop by and join me on the podcast today. And I want to let you know I truly appreciate your listenership to our virtual campfire sit-down here today. And just a reminder, I do have a website. It is wycethoughts.com. Just spell my name right. I know some of you have emailed me and reached out and said, why do you always say, Terry, on every episode of your podcast, spell my name right? Well, here's the thing. And it's not that it aggravates me. I chuckle because I've gotten some weird spellings of my name over the years. It is W-Y-C-E. W-Y-C-E for wycethoughts.com. That is the name of the website. I also have a professional voiceover website at Terry Wyce. Okay, so if you need voiceover work done, let's say you've written a book and you want to have it put into an audio form, like for audible.com, iTunes, and what have you, Amazon, more than happy to do that. I've got quite a few audiobooks under my belt, and I can do your audiobook with a great degree of professionalism and draw the listener in for you. And I also do large companies, small companies, a lot of people, I had one client reach out to me, again, just to not go into too much shameless self-promotion. I had one client reach out to me and said, Terry, I know you do all kinds of voiceover work, but my company is just starting out, man. We've got a really limited budget. Is there something that you can do for us? And I said, absolutely. We went back and forth and talked and got them squared away, and they were quite happy with the results, and it fit right within their budget. And now there's another client, hopefully for life. So don't be bashful and say, well, I can only afford this amount of dollars or this or that, or for my audiobook, I can do this. Reach out. I'm sure we can find some type of mutual agreement where it'll benefit all of us, and you'll be very happy with the result. That's at Terry Wyce. You can listen to some audio samples there as well, okay? So anyway, welcome to this big shindig that we call Wyce Thoughts. Oh, by the way, you can... And I'm going to continue to use tweet at me on Twitter, even though I know it's X, and some of you have corrected me and said, hey, it's X now. Don't call it Twitter. It's X. All right. I still call it X. What a creature of habit. Or I'm sorry, I still call it Twitter, not X, but tweet at me on Twitter because it took me months to come up with that. You can tweet at me on Twitter at Terry Wyce and follow on Facebook as well. Facebook.com/@Terry Wyce or Facebook.com/@Wyce Thoughts. The YouTube channel, you can look for Terry Wyce on YouTube and look for me also at Wyce Thoughts. So there we go. Oh my gosh. I'm out of breath now. Enough shameless plugs. Let me get a sip of water here. It's good stuff. You got to keep the pipes hydrated, as we are in the winter months too, and it gets very, very dry out there. It's dry air. You guys get that dry winter itch too? I'm like, ooh, But anyway, welcome to the program. Welcome to Wyce Thoughts. I truly appreciate each and every one of you that do listen to the program. So thank you. Thank you for listening. It's great. Getting more listeners, garnering more listeners every episode, which is really good. And the feedback has been positive and very constructive. So I'm very fortunate for that, and I truly appreciate it. The good, the bad, and the ugly, as they say. So let's get going into the program. Before we get to what I want to talk about today on Wyce Thoughts, it's that time again.
It's that time again. It's time for the Wordsmith Word of the Episode.
It's time for our Wordsmith Word of the Episode. And on this episode of Wyce Thoughts, the wordsmith word of the episode for today is wayfarer. W-A-Y-F-A-R-E-R. Wayfarer. It's a person who travels on foot. Where you can use it in your everyday language, a wayfarer arrived just before the desk clerk was about to leave the hostel for the night. For those of you who don't know what a hostel is, look it up. It's like a mini hotel. Yeah, they made horror movies about it, but believe me, it has actually an everyday use. I prefer to be a wayfarer on my first day in a new city because I can see more on foot than in a taxi or on a bus. So there you go. So there's a couple of ways you can use this week's Wordsmith word of the episode, wayfarer, spelled Wayfarer. Now you can go out into the world and show everyone what a big brain you have because you have learned a new Wordsmith word of the episode. Isn't it wonderful? I love when that happens. Oh, well. So welcome aboard. And again, it's that time of the year. It's Christmas time. We're all getting ready for the Christmas season. We are all doing probably our Christmas shopping. And I've begun mine. Have you done yours? Have you done your Christmas shopping yet? Have you? You better get started. Only 3 weeks till old St. Nick makes his globe-trotting journey across the globe, bringing gifts to those that are good and coal to those who aren't. But who knows? In today's world, coal might be a better gift because I think it's worth more. I really do. So, getting ready for Christmas. On the last episode of the podcast, we talked about how to survive the holidays, and I did a blurb on the blog at Wyce Life, blog at wycethoughts.com, and we talked about that last time on the podcast, and a couple of you had written in about that and said, yeah, these are things I do, these are things I don't do around the holidays, and the consensus was, I think, about a 50-50 split between a lot of people. Some of you love the holidays, some of you kind of just put up with the holidays and this time of year just to say, I'm going to get through it, man. One way or the other, I'm going to manage to get through these holidays and move on with my life. Just, buy the gifts, get it over with. But it really is a time of self-reflection and a time to get back to what holidays are all about. I use it as a time to self-reflect, but again, I digress. We talked about that a lot last time on the holidays, on that programs. But let's get into this episode of the podcast, shall we? What we're going to talk about on this episode of Wyce Thoughts here today is what are 3 things that you think you can do next year. Okay, next year is not that far away. We're talking about 4 weeks away till 2024 here as of the recording of this podcast. We're about almost 4 weeks out until 2024 drops on us. What are 3 things that you think you can do to improve your life? And how are you going to put them into action? I know I talk a lot on the podcast about, hey, here's some, things you can do to improve your life. And again, I am not here to preach to you. I am not here to stand on a virtual soapbox and say, I am so much better than you because I do this, that. Please don't take it that way. It is not. I'm here to encourage and learn right along with you. I want to learn right along with you. What are some things we could be doing together? What are some aspects of how to improve our life? Because what I see and hear from a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I am meaning my friends, my family members, and even just inadvertently eavesdropping on conversations when I'm out in the general public. It seems like a lot of people are miserable a lot of the time. They have a lot of angst. They have a lot of regrets. They have a lot of perceived stresses in their life. And I look at it this way. If I can offer up some nuggets of wisdom for what I've gone through or am going through, I'm like, hey, man, I'm here to help. I'm just here to help, and do my best so we can all get through it together. Excuse me. But one of the things is drink more fluids and water during the dry time of season here. But what are 3 things that you think you can do coming up in 2024 to make your life better, to make your life maybe less stressful, to further you along in your hopes and dreams, or maybe even further yourself along in your career? What are 3 action steps that you can take, that you can say, hey, I'm going to put this into practice. Now, a lot of us start out with great intentions. We start out with great intentions and say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to do A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, okay? We start out with that mentality and say, I'm going to do all this stuff. However, when it comes to actually taking the action and going to do it, what ends up happening to us, folks? Come on, let's be honest here. Let's be honest. What happens to all of us? That's right. We sit on our blessed assurance or our keisters, and we do nothing. We talk a lot. Some of us talk a good game and maybe half-heartedly start with one, and then it just kind of falls. It's sort of, because New Year's resolutions are coming up, so that's kind of my different take on a New Year's resolution. I like to look at it as, what are 3 action steps you want to take in the coming year to better your life, better your career, better your health, better get you on the road to your hopes and dreams? Because I do not want to be one of these people, and I hope you don't too, and if I can help, please, I will, that has hopes and dreams, and we talk about them and ruminate on them, but really don't make and take any formidable action steps to move them along and to do it. And I am just as guilty as 90% of us out here, man. I'm with you, okay? I have done this for, when I look back now and say, until I really started paying attention to this, and someone tapped me on the shoulder one day and said, Terry, I hear you talk about this, and you say you want to do this, but dude, you've been talking about this for a year now, off and on. How you doing with it? And I was like, oh, crap. Someone's actually calling me out now. Not in a nasty way, but they're just calling me out saying, well, what have you doing? What have you done? What are you trying to do to get to that goal? And I'm like, oh, shit. What have I done? And it really started me thinking. And it was a friend. It wasn't even a family member, because a lot of times your family members, depending on the family you're in, will be supportive, will be more likely to let you slide on promises. I'm going to lose 20 pounds, or I'm going to start this business, or I'm going to start writing a book, or I'm going to start making videos on YouTube, or I'm going to make myself healthier by eating better, or etc. Whatever the case may be. I'm going to work on my self-development to, so I don't blow my stack and start screaming at everybody every time something goes wrong in my life. Those are the things I'm talking about. Not, other items. And when this person just said it kind of matter-of-factly a while back, quite a few years ago, it really hit home. I don't know, maybe I was just in the right mindset then, and the karma hit me, and I went, oh, crap. I guess I am going to be held accountable here. All right, so here we go. And it really started me thinking. It really did. Excuse me. And I'm like, okay, I guess I really got to, I got to do it. I've got to get myself to the point where I am going to put the same accountability into my goals and my hopes and dreams. And that's the only way you're ever going to attain everything. You've got to get off the couch. You've got to get off your butt. You've got to get in the game, as they say. Get in the game, man. It's time to get in the game. And by doing that, mind you, in fact, I was just having a conversation this morning with a good friend, and me and her were having this conversation, and I said, have you done this? Because they had mentioned a few weeks back they were going to do something, and they'd be like, oh, no, not yet. I'm like, okay. I was just wondering, just conversational sake. I mean, and they're like, you know what? Thank you for reminding me. And I told them, I said, you know what I do? What I found helps me is I will write a list of 3 things I want to accomplish today. And, you can put it on your phone and set reminders for yourself, because in this electronic age, that's very helpful. But what I do is I'll put this reminder on my phone, or I'll even write it down good old-fashioned, old school. I'll put pen to paper or pencil to paper and tack it at my desk or where I'm working and what have you in the home office or whatever, or even on the refrigerator with a magnet. Here's 3 things I want to accomplish today. Do this daily. Do this, start doing this daily. And at least if I do one of these things, that seems to get the ball rolling. Because I'm like, all right, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z today. And then I go, all right, I did X. And then I'll sit there and I'll reflect and say, well, I did X. I might as well get that done. Now, don't make these insurmountable things. Don't make these things that are like, I'm going to build a new addition to the house, and then I'm going to mow the lawn, and then I'm going to change the brakes on the truck. Make them realistic goals. Start with something small, just the smallest thing for the day, like, hey, I'm going to go through my closet and weed out all the clothes that I haven't worn in 5 years and maybe don't fit me anymore, and I'm going to donate those to charity. Something small and tiny. Okay. The second thing on your list could be something a little larger. Like I'm going to sweep and mop the floors in the house and tidy up and dust. And then the third thing can be, let's say you were wanting to write a book. I'm going to write down ideas for a type of book I want to write, or something like that, or write the first chapter of a book, or put pen to paper, or type it out. And again, I'm just spitballing off the top of my head here, but do that every day. You can do it electronically, or you can do it old school way, and just write down 3 things that you think, hey, now, if you even if you accomplish one of those things, you've just moved the bar. You're doing something. You're taking action rather than just talking about it and discussing it and putting all the blah, 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 words out in the air and nothing happening. And then you're going, oh, another day's gone. I should have done this. I should have done that. Because I'm going to say the old sayings you've probably heard a billion times before throughout your whole life to this point. Every journey starts with a single step. Every single one. You know, when people run marathons, they don't get up and they start at the finish line and, oh, okay, we're at the finish line, or I'm sorry, the starting line. And they run 2 steps, and then all of a sudden they're at the finish line. It's a long, grueling contest. I know some people that are marathon runners. They train for it. They do little increments. They'll start by running, a quarter mile. They walk up to it. They start walking. Then they run a quarter mile. Then they run 3/4 or a half mile. Then 3/4 of a mile. Then blah, blah, blah. And they keep building. They build on yesterday's victories and lessons to propel them forward. Mind you, towards the ultimate goal of finishing a marathon. And the first few marathons they've run, their time might not have been the greatest, but then it's like, okay, here's what I learned, how to hydrate, how to do this, how to pace myself, etc., and their times generally improve. Same thing you can do in your life. If you have a large goal you want to accomplish, let's say you decided, hey, I want to write a book. I've always enjoyed reading. I have an idea in my mind that I've had for a decade or whatever. Take the small steps. Or I want to improve my health. I want to lose 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever you feel that you might want to lose. It's up to each individual on something like that. What can I do? What's going to get me there? Start doing a little research and just take little steps every day. Even if with a weight loss thing, even if it isn't exercising, which is probably the best way, but again, you don't dive in and do 100 miles an hour and try and run and you end up passing out because, you're so out of shape. The only time you've ran is to the refrigerator or to the local fast food restaurant, and you haven't run in decades. Don't hurt yourself. All right. I would recommend talking to your doctor, assess your physical health. Again, I'm not a medical professional. So do that to protect yourself. You want to be safe. But even, let's say you want to lose weight and you have a goal in mind of how many pounds, one of the best things you could probably do is start adjusting your diet. Maybe you cut out candy bars. Then after that, you cut out sugary drinks. Then after that, you try to cut down on sugar, period. Then after that, you try to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into your diet. Say, you know what? Every day I'm going to eat 2 apples and a banana, or 2 apples and a peach, or 2 apples and a handful, whatever. Little steps. These are the ways that I have found that work to help get you to the goal. So when I ask you again here on Wyce Thoughts, what are 3 things that you would love to change about your life in the coming year, 2024? Okay, because we're like I said, we're just a few short weeks away from it. Instead of living the life you've lived, live the life you deserve. Live the life you want to live. All right? And by doing these things, just some of these tips I gave you, it'll get you well on your way to where you want to go. Remember, that road, it's a long road, and there's really no end to the road until your life is over. Then the road's, obviously the road's done. But every day we can all do something. I do it. I work on myself constantly, and I don't put pressure on myself. I just say, what are some little things I can do to establish and get myself towards those goals I want? And it becomes fun. You become, all right, I've done this and this. Hey, I've conquered that. Now I can do this goal or add that goal or, what have you. So do it. I mean, it can be applied to relationships, your health, your career, your personal life, everything across the board. And when you do this, folks, don't put all this unnecessary pressure on yourself. Say, oh my God, I got to lose 20 pounds in the next 5 weeks or I'm never going to be happy ever. No. Take it in steps. Be kind to yourself. How you would talk to someone else who came to you with this and said, hey, I want to do this and this. Think of how you would talk to your friends or loved ones and approach it from that angle, okay? Approach it like how you would talk to a friend, and that way you won't put any undue pressure on yourself. But do it. Keep a journal. Assess, what do I want to do? Coming up in 2024, what are 3 major things I'd like to do? Then start breaking it down and do a daily list of 3 items that you can do that day to get you there. Don't make the hill insurmountable. Don't make it so big that you get frustrated and give up if you don't. And try to accomplish at least one of the things on the list every day. You'll know what they are. You're smart enough out there. I trust in you. You'll break it down and figure out what's good for you. All right? So that's all I got for you this episode of the podcast. Hey, if you like the show, subscribe, tell your friends about Wyce Thoughts, and leave us a positive rating and review. Visit the website wycethoughts.com or over at terrywyce.com. So we'll catch you on the next episode of Wyce Thoughts.
Hey, thanks for listening to the program today. I truly appreciate each and every one of you out there. And remember, to see a change in the world, you have to be the change in the world you want to see. It all starts with you, the person looking back at you in the mirror every morning. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. If you want to tweet at me on Twitter, it's at Terry Wyce. Stop by the website, wycethoughts.com, just to make sure you spell my name right, W-Y-C-E, wycethoughts.com. And hey, leave us a positive rating and review on your favorite podcast provider, won't you? Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets about Wyce Thoughts. And I look forward to gathering yet again around the virtual campfire with you real soon. Take care.